Okay.
Welcome into another edition of Sport Ball. It's your boy Sam. You know me. You know them. The NBA is back, baby. Special edition. NBA back, baby.
Soon.
But first, golf is back. We live.
Here with me, as you may have already heard, are my friends Seth and Kyle. Boys, how we doing?
Greetings. Hello.
The fact that we're called Sport Ball and we're excluding the sport with the smallest ball is really upsetting to me. I never really thought about it.
Is that the sport with the smallest ball? What about ping pong?
Marbles.
Wow. Have you ever watched marble racing?
See?
I assume you have.
Oh, yo, it is riveting. They make some crazy courses, and I can't even explain it. We should really just watch it sometime. We'll just stream it together.
You've gambled on marble racing, haven't you?
In college, yeah, we would.
Of course. Everyone gambles on marble racing at college.
I would sooner do a podcast episode about marble racing than I would about golf, for sure.
All the marbles are sponsored. It's wild. I think like NBC or not NBC, some TV channel just picked up like the huge YouTube marble racing channel, and they're going to be putting it on TV anyways.
Dang.
So if you need a marble racing tout, I'm your guy.
Lovely.
I was just thinking this morning when I woke up. That's actually the first thing I thought. Okay, so before we discuss the return of the NBA and the end of season awards for the NBA, since there's only going to be a few more regular season games, I feel like we would be remiss if we did not discuss what's going on in the world right now. As we know, thousands of people are protesting across the country and in other countries for the murder of George Floyd and to put an end to police brutality of unarmed black folks. Some of the protests that me and Seth attended as well, and it was good to see so many people protesting peacefully together. I just wanted to unequivocally say that Black Lives Matter and that we support the movement. And although we're not really your source for that topic, we'll be discussing the NBA today, but I did want to touch on it and just kind of give our thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah, to add on to that, I would say there's plenty of other podcasts and other news media articles, social media timelines that you can follow for resources, for critique of systems of oppression, racism, police violence. There's all sorts of other people you can look to, and if people are wondering where to find information, like feel free to reach out to us or look on our social media. We've shared some things recently.
For sure.
So, I mean, that's not really the focus of our podcast, obviously, and we're hoping to bring some joy, reprieve, distraction to people. But like you said, Sam, because it's such a big part of what's happening in the world, I think it's good to acknowledge that. And and also just, I hope that everyone listening can do whatever they feel like is within their power to, do the best to be anti-racist, to recognize our own privileges, see how we can use them for good, to dismantle systems of oppression and learn. Sam and I are both going to do a online course about history of racism in the United States that's free. So I think it's time to educate ourselves and just learn so you can do better.
Yeah. Kyle, anything to add?
I agree with everything that you guys have said. We just got to do better as a country, and understanding that everyone's equal, and it's something that we've acted like has been the case for years, when in reality it hasn't been. And I think that's one of the great things that's happening now is there's actually action being put into it. And obviously the news highlights the bad stuff that's going on with it, but we have to realize that there's a whole lot more good that's coming out of this than, a small select group, in each state or each city, whatever, that's destroying stuff. So I think we have to hold each other accountable. We have to do better all together. It's not just one person, it's everyone.
For sure. Yeah, like Seth was saying, everyone can help in their small ways. It doesn't mean you have to be on the front lines of protests, but, donate if you can, share resources on social media, educate yourself, read things, watch things, have difficult conversations with family and friends. And that's, we all just can do what we can do to keep the movement going. So
Yep.
Now, let's take you away and distract you with some talk of the return of everyone's favorite sport with a ball, the NBA National
Marvel Racing
Beeswax
League.
Association. So I have a lot of notes for this because I wanted to make it clear to our listeners what the format was going forward here, and there's a lot of details we need to hash out and discuss for our 5 listeners that are waiting with bated breath to learn about the return of the NBA. Looking at you, Matt. So the NBA is going to return July 30th, it seems like, as of today. They originally said 31st, but they are targeting 30th now, as if that really matters. The plan is to play at Disney World at the Wide World of Sports complex, which has, I think, 3 courts already.
For the summer leagues played in Florida.
Yeah. 22 teams will be there, which includes the 16 playoff teams, and as well as the Blazers, Pelicans, Kings, and Spurs in the West, and the Wizards in the East, which is every team basically within 6 games of the playoffs. So what's going to happen is there's going to be 8 seeding games, okay, where
Are you missing one? Or did I count wrong?
oh, you're right, I'm missing one. Sorry, I forgot the Suns in the West because they have such a clear path to playoffs. That's why I forgot them.
Gotcha.
So basically, they're going to play 8 seeding games to give the teams that are within 6 games the 8 seed a chance to catch up, and it will also affect seeding 1 through 7 as well. They can rejockey positions there. If after those 8 games the 9th seed is within 4 games of the 8th seed, then there's going to be a play-in. So the play-in would be the 8th seed only has to win once to move on, and the 9th seed has to win twice. So if the 8th seed wins 1 game, it's over. They keep the 8th seed. If the 9th seed wins a game, then they play again. And if the 9th seed can win 2 games in a row, they grab the 8th seed and move on to the playoffs. So it's a small play-in, maybe not the big play-in tournament we all had hoped for, but it's something at least. Now let's talk about several other aspects of this. This is very complicated, The lottery, people have wondered, well, how is this going to affect the NBA draft lottery? So basically, you can't really tank to move past a team that's not playing. So, for instance, the Wizards, if they go 0-8, can't move past Charlotte and Chicago to get a better lottery position. They're stuck in that position. However, if the Wizards were to make the playoffs, let's say, they're out of the lottery now, and whoever's place they take, the Magic or the Nets, would now be in the lottery. So basically, it's normal, except you can't really tank for a better lottery position if you're one of the teams invited.
And it does impact, like, Phoenix. Let's say Phoenix and San Antonio don't make it in the top 8. However well they do during these 6 games would impact their lottery odds relative to each other, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, also, what I was going to say about trades is there's a trade, the Grizzlies pick, Seth, should be of consequence to you as a Celtics fan. Can you explain to the listeners what's going on with that?
Right. So if I'm correct, it's protected this year, like top 8 or top 6 or something. And then if it's not in the top 6, then it rolls over to next year. or if it is in the top 6, what is it? Do you know the number? Because 6 can't be right. But whatever it is protected by, if it's within there, then it rolls over to next year. Otherwise, the Celtics get the pick. So
and next year is unprotected.
maybe it's just lottery protected. Because there's something, I was listening to this on the podcast, and I can't remember what the numbers were.
I think it is 6 or something like that. But basically, if they don't,
they would never get. I guess it is possible that they could get in the top 6 if they make it into the lottery. But
right, for reference, the Grizzlies are in 8th right now, so there's a chance they could miss the playoffs if the 9th seed, or if they slip by the 8th seed, or if they lose the play-in tournament. And then the Celtics could get their pick this year. If they don't, then it rolls over next year and is unprotected. So you guys would almost prefer that, probably.
We definitely prefer it to be rolled over because I feel like the Grizzlies outperformed expectations this year. Now, you could argue that they have a lot of young players, so they're only going to be better next year, which is possible, but I still feel like with the upside that they could be lower, I'd rather have it rolled over.
Yeah, and the West
it is top 6.
Okay, cool. So
it would be very unlikely because, I mean, best case for the Celtics, they'd probably have like the Grizzlies would be, the 12th highest lottery odds or something. And they'd have to
but they still could. I mean, the odds are flatter now.
Right, they're flatter, so it's possible.
So the schedule basically looked like you have those 8 play-in games, and then you have the normal playoffs as we know them with 7-game series. And Game 7 of the NBA Finals would occur no later than October 12th. And then I think the next season they're hoping to start early December, if possible.
Yeah, December 1st is the first date they've stated, but they've also said that that's still flexible.
Yeah. And
I personally would be all for a Christmas Eve start.
Yeah,
what a way
I like that.
To start the NBA season. A present to us all.
The greatest gift of all. Yeah, and it sounds like teams are going to start holding individual workouts, or they already have started, and then they're going to start a training camp the end of June. And then they all have to basically fly to Orlando July 7th, and everyone has to quarantine for 2 weeks there. And then they start everything up, basically. So it's going to be a long process, and a lot could fall apart from now until then.
My question with the scheduling part is like, if, say, we start the next season in December, COVID-wise, is anything really going to be different between now and December?
It's a good point. I mean, maybe they would be allowed.
It's possible we'd have a vaccine, but probably unlikely. So, are we going to do a whole season in a bubble, or we're just going to like forge ahead because we're tired of quarantine, and maybe like we'll have flattened the curve enough by then. But
no, I think it's most likely that they play just without fans because travel is already allowed in Phase 3, right? So they can still travel to other arenas. But
I don't even think that they play without fans. I think they still allow fans. I want to say maybe it's a some soccer league. I can't think of which one. Or actually, it's either the Korean Baseball League or the Chinese Baseball League. They have a plan for phases to allow fans in the stands. It essentially starts with the first phase of being like every other row and then every like 5 seats or something. They're going to allow fans to sit in those seats. And the next phase, it just shrinks the amount of seats between them. The next phase after that is like not rows in between and stuff like that. So there's going to be, I think, at least in place in some sports league, whether it's overseas or here, I think there's already going to be a way for the NBA to have an outline kind of what they could do to have fans. Yeah. So I don't think that we see next season, even start without fans. That's just me, though. And
then you would have like no concessions. Would you have public bathrooms open? Probably have.
You would have to.
Everyone's wearing a mask, or at least when they're on their seat. I would assume so.
Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen, right, in 7 months, 6 months.
Right.
So
yeah. And that's the big thing for next year is that, and also like what the salary cap is going to look like, because who knows how much money they're going to lose from not having fans. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that and how like players' salaries are set and everything, and free agency. It's just all up in the air right now.
Definitely.
One thing that's interesting to me with all of the NBA coming back is no teams are forcing, or the league isn't forcing players to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to them if they want to even come back to go to Florida and play. The only thing that they would lose out on is a percentage of their salary.
Right. Yeah, they don't get.
So
they
I
wouldn't
think
get
Dame
any
Lillard's
trouble.
actually already said that he's not going to play.
Really? I thought he only said he wasn't going to play if the games don't matter. So that's why they did this format for him, basically, or for like teams.
Maybe
like
that did happen.
Yeah.
Last
Well,
I
who
saw
knows?
was he was saying he didn't want to play, but yeah.
Yeah.
I know Carmelo was thinking about not coming back.
It'd be interesting to see if any players actually don't show up. I would be surprised if the number's high. It's funny because the NBA did say today that they would allow teams to add players if players didn't want to come, and also add replacement players if someone has coronavirus on their team.
Mhm.
Because actually, I didn't explain this yet, but health-wise, what they're planning on doing is testing everyone every day, and then if someone does get coronavirus, everything keeps going, but that player isolates for 2 weeks, which begs the question: what if someone like LeBron James or Giannis is quarantined for 2 weeks? It would be like them spraining their ankle or something in the playoffs, which doesn't happen that often, but it's going to be I feel like a lot more risky this time. And I feel like if that happens, people just aren't going to count. They're going to put an asterisk next to the champion if a major player comes down with coronavirus.
There's going to be an asterisk next to the champion no matter what, I'm pretty sure. In the people's mind, I don't think it's going to, NBA is not going to put one like down, but everyone in the world is going to be like, oh, that doesn't count,
Right.
Especially,
well, the thing is,
especially if LeBron wins it, or especially if like Giannis wins, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, so what? LeBron won. It was a shortened season. It's like, so what?
I mean, in my mind, unless a major player gets coronavirus, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, sure, there's no home court advantage, but the playoff, they did a good job keeping the playoff format the same to try to avoid that asterisk, right? And if anything, it might be more impressive if you win it this year with everything that's going on,
Right.
Also, it must be mentioned that since you can add a replacement player, even if LeBron James goes down, you could still pick up Nick Young and be fine.
Nick Young. What about the Lakers trying to bring back Boogie?
Yeah, I was thinking about that because they released him. Can a team pick them up as a replacement player?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't see why not. Yeah.
Probably wouldn't make that much of a difference, honestly.
No, it wouldn't.
But that'd probably be your
You
first
think
choice
Dwight Howard's better
player.
than Boogie? Then again, Dwight was playing good this year, but I don't think he's better than Boogie.
Well, why would they release Boogie if Dwight Howard's not better than him?
Well, didn't Boogie get a second injury that they didn't think was going to be worth it?
Yeah, I think that was part of it, and probably I guess Dwight just fits better because he doesn't have to take any shots.
I'd rather have my backup center being Boogie over Dwight. Dwight's like 38 years old at this point, isn't he?
Something like that. I mean, I feel like Boogie's just done, man. It's tough.
Yeah, I think Dwight is better for their offense. I mean, they're not looking for like offensive production. They're just looking for rim running and shot blocker.
I can't wait till someone chooses Steph Curry as a replacement player. I'm just kidding. That's not allowed. Can you imagine, though?
If you could just pick players from anyone who's not in the playoffs.
Yeah. That'd be great. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about well, there's lots to discuss here. Maybe let's start with, what do you guys think about the format? Do you think 22 teams is the right number?
Well, I'm all right with it. I mean, whatever's going to work to bring basketball back is good for me. I think there were other formats that have been proposed that would have probably been more exciting, like the World Cup group format. I think it's ludicrous that Phoenix is in. There's no chance in hell they'll make it in playoffs, so that seems silly. So I think they could have done 20 teams or 18 teams probably, but it's all about money, and the more games, the more money the NBA and advertisers and everything is going to make. So I get that. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'm just excited to have basketball back. I think it's mostly fair, giving teams, like rewarding teams who did well in the regular season while still giving people some kind of chance to make it in if they weren't quite there yet. And I like the opportunity for a play-in. I feel like that's pretty likely to happen in the Western Conference, which would be really exciting between the 8 and 9 seed.
Yeah, just quickly interject here. Kevin Pelton had a piece on ESPN where he had some statistics for what's likely to happen in these seeding games. So he ran 500 simulations. Like you said, Seth, there's a very low chance of the Suns getting even the 9th seed to get into play-in. To even get the 9th seed only happened one time in 500 simulations. And according to him, there's only a 10% chance of a play-in in the East. But there's a 75% chance of a play-in in the West. So that's very enticing.
And I think that was...
Wait, no, I'm sorry. There's a 90% chance of a play-in in the West. Or, 90% chance of play-in in the West, and it's 75% that the Grizzlies are the 8th seed. So we're basically getting a play-in in the West, which is nice.
And they haven't released the schedule yet, right? Because
what
that
they're
whole
gonna do
thing
for
was speculated schedule.
What they're going to do for the schedule is they're going to use what the team's actual schedule is, remove the games of teams that aren't in Orlando,
Right.
and then just play through the schedule. And they have to add like 2 or 3 games. I think it was like Lakers, Blazers, Lakers. That's the same team. I think they have to add 2 Blazers, Lakers, and 1 Blazers, Pelicans or something. But then it all works out.
Because that's what they were talking about on Zach Lowe's podcast.
Yeah.
But is that officially what they said, or was that speculation that that's probably what they'll do?
I believe their official statement is they're using the rest of the schedule as a basis. No one knows exactly what they're going to do, but that's really the only thing they can do. So,
right.
And it's interesting because I think that's what they have to do because it kind of keeps the strength of schedule similar. You know, everyone's strength of schedule goes up because they're playing only the good teams, but it goes up relatively. So, you know, the biggest storyline is that the Grizzlies have a really hard schedule and the Pelicans have a really easy one, which is why everyone assumed that the Pelicans were going to nab that 8th seed anyway. And that's still the case, you know, even with this different schedule. So I think you said that the Pelicans get the 9th seed, or they get the 9th seed 37% of the time. So they're still the most likely out of any of the other teams to get to that 9th seed, basically. So it should basically, it was as fair as possible, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it was never going to be perfectly fair. The one wrinkle, actually, is that the seeds are based on winning percentage, and not everyone's going to play an equal amount of games, which is interesting because basically it matters mostly in the West because the Blazers have played 2 more games than the Kings and the Pelicans. So even if they're tied in record, which they are now,
Blazers
right? Even if they're both 8 games under 500, which they are now, the Blazers have a better winning percentage because they played more games. So basically, the Pelicans and the Kings have to win 1 more game than the Blazers. They can't stay even with them,
right,
in order to move up the rankings. So that's gonna be interesting. And the Spurs are 3 games behind the Blazers, and they just announced that LaMarcus Aldridge is out for the rest of the season. So
yeah. I think the Spurs playoff streak is coming to an end, sadly.
Spurs.
22 years. 22-year playoff streak, and it ends this.
That's what they get for signing DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, honestly.
What did they think was going to happen?
Good
My
point.
firstborn son. What do you guys think about the health side of it? Do you think quarantining the one player that gets coronavirus is gonna do it? Do you think that they have a number in mind for like how many players per team or total players getting the virus would shut everything down? What do you think about that, Kyle?
I mean, they have to have a contingency plan, right, if something like that happens. But I still think there's so much stuff that we don't know about the coronavirus to actually have a true 100% solid plan anyways. Like, the CDC has been wrong about so much stuff with this. Like, just the other day, they decided to say that they don't think that or they think that if you're asymptomatic, you can't transmit the coronavirus to someone else. But I'm pretty sure we have other science that says that's not the case. So obviously people are going to listen to the CDC too. And so there's a lot of stuff up in the air, but you know, I think the way the NBA is going about it is one of the best ways that we can. And I think we're pretty lucky to have, a dedicated place, a dedicated bubble, essentially, that the players are going to be able to stay in and, not have to worry about. Like, I don't know how, I don't watch hockey preseason, so I don't know if it's like the same way where there's only like 2 cities or 3 cities, but hockey's coming back soon too. And I don't know if they're all going to be in like the same city or not. I haven't read too much about that.
Yeah, I don't know either on hockey, but I think as far as health, I mean, in order to, like, if we're going to have basketball again, I think this seems like a good plan. And they'll have like daily testing and everything. So I don't know. Sometimes I think like, wow, this could really be a disaster, and like we're going to have multiple players on multiple teams get positive COVID test results, and it's going to be like a fiasco. And then part of me thinks like, you know what, with all those precautions, it's probably not that likely, and we might make the whole playoffs without anyone testing positive.
I really don't know how it's going to go.
So, I mean, it hasn't happened yet, so it's hard to predict.
Exactly. That's what we always say. That's why we're such a good sports podcast.
Yep.
And it's like, there's always going to be some risk, right? I mean, if they wanted to do the least risk possible, they would have just gone straight to the playoffs. Or if they wanted to do the least risk possible, they should have just not brought basketball back. But obviously there's going to be some kind of risk, and I trust them to be as careful as they possibly can. I think they said next week that they're unveiling, or maybe it's this week, their actual health plan. So maybe we'll learn more then.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see like what the plan is for the older coaches, because we have a lot of coaches over 60. I think they would be the ones I'd be the most concerned about. I mean, we got Pop, we got who else? D'Antoni, all those who are over 60. So, I mean, if a player gets it, chances are he's going to be fine. They're
right.
Peak physical condition. So
right. Yeah.
What else are you guys excited to see with this NBA comeback?
For me, I mean, it'll all be about who's going to make it in the West. You've got the Spurs playoff streak, 22 years. You've got JJ Redick's personal playoff streak, made the playoffs every year of his career on the Pels. You've got will Zion be in the playoffs? Zion-LeBron matchup, 1-8 would be exciting. I'm also partial to Dame, so I'd love to see the Blazers make it in the playoffs, which, considering the win percentage thing that you mentioned earlier, plus they're expecting both Yusuf Nurkic and Zach Collins to come back.
Right.
So that could be a boost. I mean, I would imagine they'll be very rusty, but everyone will be. So maybe that'll be mitigated a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pulling for the Blazers to sneak in, but obviously the Pelicans would be very exciting as well. And yeah, just hoping that Memphis gets knocked out and that maybe possibly they get top 6 of the lottery.
What do you think, Kyle? What are you most excited to see?
A skinny big honey.
Oh my God! I don't know why we didn't lead with this. It appears that Jokic lost like 100 pounds.
I am at least very skeptical. Like, could that have been photoshopped? I mean, the video.
No,
I
saw the whole video of him just like hanging out, and he is like really, really skinny. And I had heard a rumor a couple weeks ago. One of the coaches or trainers was like, like Jokic actually kind of has abs now. I was like, okay, that's just one of those things they say. But I mean, I was looking at the comments and they said, you all ain't ready for handsome honey.
I've been saying that his whole career. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I miss the big honey ball movement bonanza. It's been months and it seems like years since I've seen that.
It feels like so long.
I'm really interested to see what happens with the Lakers because obviously we all, I think, thought they were at least going to go to the Western Conference Finals. I know I at least had them going to the finals.
Yeah.
And what is this, the one thing, LeBron's getting up there in age, right? Like it hasn't looked this season that it's hampered him at all. It hasn't looked like it's hampered him at all his entire career, but now he has an additional 3 months to take off and just rehab and work on his body before getting back into the actual playoffs now. I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah. I'm so excited, man. There's going to be they said 5 to 6 games per day in the seeding rounds.
Yeah, I'm not going to get any work done.
And at least a couple during the day during the playoffs. Yeah, me and Kyle aren't getting any work done.
I already have the TV set up in my
job, so
I already have the TV set up in my office to watch golf this week and the coming weeks. I'm already set.
I'm just gonna write a note to my boss and be like, I'm out. During the NBA playoffs. I'm excited. The seeding in the West is gonna be interesting too because the Mavs are the 7th seed right now, but they're better than the 7th seed. It feels like they're what? I think I wrote it down 6th in the overall rating in the NBA, so that puts them on par with the Clippers. So to get out of that 7th seed would be huge because then they don't have to play the Clippers first round. So I would be interested with that because I want my boy Luka to do well. Same to be true with the Rockets too. The Rockets could certainly improve their seeding. They're at 6th right now. So maybe they could move up a few spots. But either way, we're going to get Utah or Houston like we do every year.
I was going to say, and Utah's going to lose.
Yeah.
Because Houston's just far superior.
Exactly. Even if they reseeded 1 through 16, Houston would still play Utah.
Well, plus Utah, Bojan Bogdanovic is out, so
that's true. That's really huge.
Screwed.
That basically ruined them. I feel like he's their best scorer player besides Donnie. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say a couple of roster notes is that he's out. KD and Kyrie have said that they're not coming back for the Nets, so we can all stop getting excited about that.
Who was getting excited?
No one really. Well, we thought we might bet on it when it was 300-1 for them to win the championship. LaMarcus Aldridge is out for the Spurs, so that probably means they're done because all they have to put on their back now is DeMar DeRozan and his corpse. Ben Simmons is going to be back for the Sixers, which is big because he was probably going to miss maybe even the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's going to be another interesting seeding, Seth, because right now the Sixers are slotted to play the Celtics in the first round, and that just really doesn't even feel like a first-round matchup.
Who?
The Sixers and the Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
That would not be ideal, but
I'd be all for it.
I'd like that matchup to happen eventually, but let's wait till the second round at least.
No.
Yeah.
Give me all the action in the first round.
I don't want either of those teams to lose in the first round. I want to keep watching them.
You're going to get to watch at least one of them, and then the next matchup is going to be just as good, most likely. You get all good matchups
then I'll get
in the first
the Pacers
round.
or some bullshit.
Watch
I'd rather
yourself.
one of those
with a
two
better
teams
record than the
handles
Bulls
the
this year.
Pacers. How dare you bring that up? That's the other question. What are we gonna do with all our playoff bets, Kyle?
Pull them up right now. I don't even know what we had.
I don't even remember what we did.
I do have a note in my phone that says, I sleep like I drive my car. What do you think that means? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Why did I write that? It's the only thing, too. It's the only thing in the note.
Well, what else do you need once you have that first statement?
So, Sam, you and I have bet on the Pelicans making or missing the playoffs. I think that one we could still do.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Wait, what do I have?
You have the Pelicans missing.
Okay, good.
So
I don't really want to root for that, though. I want to see Zion in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's okay. I think we can do this one. Warriors You and Seth said they would finish 5th seed or better.
Yeah, that's fine. We can
I
honor
said
that one.
7th seed or worse. If they finished the 6th seed, it was a push.
Oh, good. I'm glad because they finished the 15th seed. So
we had that
I'm
in
glad,
there.
I'm glad we put the 6th seed push in there. Remember we
okay.
haggled over that for like 20 minutes?
And what do you know? Stogie's always right.
I mean, Steph Curry missed practically the whole
Right.
year, so
You can't.
that played a small
Hey,
part.
variance, baby.
Of course. Of course, when we bring up the
Regression to the
Portland bet,
mean.
where I said that Portland was going to make the playoffs, and then you say, well, there were injuries.
Variance. It's variance.
Variance both ways, baby.
The Pacers finished with a better record than the Bulls.
still happen.
Me and Seth had the Pacers having the better record. You said the Bulls would have a better record.
Well, come on now. The Bulls weren't invited to Orlando. Maybe
Yeah,
they're
so
going
I don't know.
nice.
That's what we're doing. We're going through this.
Variance.
Are we keeping that or?
Yeah, we're keeping that.
We're keeping it. Yeah.
Maybe if the Bulls had been invited to Orlando, went in an 8-0 run,
Yeah, fucking
they
right.
still probably would have worse
still
They
record.
still have they have Boylan as their coach still. They've gotten rid of everyone else but him.
Yeah.
The Blazers miss or make the playoffs. You have the Blazers miss. I have the Blazers make, so we'll keep that.
So I'm going to win either that or the Pelicans one, at least.
Yeah.
Mm.
Excellent.
You have the Rockets don't make the conference finals, and I have the Rockets do make the conference
Ooh.
finals.
I don't know how
That's
I like
a
that.
spicy
because
one.
I know. I feel like without home court advantage, I feel like the Rockets will be better somehow. I don't know why, but I just feel like that.
But I think we have to keep that because
great.
they're keeping the same playoff format, and our
Yeah.
the team's in. So,
Yeah, we'll keep that.
and then we have an if bet, as in if the Pelicans were to make the last seed and they played the Lakers,
Yeah.
you have
They win
the
one
Lakers sweep the Pelicans. I
Okay.
have the Pelicans winning at least one game.
Okay.
That's right.
Wait,
So I have a lot riding on the Pelicans.
so if the Pelicans don't make the playoffs at all, do I win that bet?
No.
No, because there's an if
That's
statement.
just
Yeah, it was the
it's
if,
just
yeah.
a wash.
See, I won one of those bets. Remember when DeMarcus joined the Pelicans? No. What was it?
Yeah.
And they missed the playoffs?
Oh,
yeah,
But
I said they were going to win 2 games of the playoffs, and they didn't
But we
make it.
yeah, they never made it, so I just won.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're keeping all the bets.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
love
really
that.
the most important thing to come out of this.
True.
All right.
glad we
Anything
went
else
through
to
that.
discuss for the NBA coming back?
Let's do awards. I'm ready.
I think the best thing that came out of that is that Nikola Jokic is going to win. Can we put a bet on the Nuggets? I know we won't actually bet it, but
I mean, I could drive to the border. We could do it.
good. Dude, when I picture this,
What are
I
the
picture you
odds?
just driving to the border, throwing down a bag of money, and someone in a hood just throwing you 2 tickets to send to Vegas when you win.
Well, that's exactly how it happens. I'm gonna look up the odds.
If the Nuggets are anything less than or more than 15-1, I pounds.
Okay. Let's see. NBA championship winners. The Nuggets are plus 2,200.
My hands are tied. I'm a man of principle. I have to bet it.
You're not a man of principle.
You're right. Sorry. Although I already have a bet in place for the Lakers to win the finals, so I don't know how that's going to work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Lakers to win
What?
and the Bucks to make it. So
What's going to happen if it's Nuggets Rockets? Who's Kyle going to cheer for at some point? in the
oh my
playoffs?
God,
That would be tough.
Kyle's just going to lather himself up and just enjoy the whole series.
I would sit in a bath full of honey and watch and stream the game. Stream myself watching the game. And just be overly joyous for every single thing that happened. Because at that point, it's a win-win.
Right. All right, let's do the awards. I realized I feel like we did the midseason awards and it was only like 3 months ago. And I don't think I
We
changed
did.
any
We
of
did the
answers.
mid-season awards when the NBA took a hiatus. And now it's not even back, and we're doing our end-of-season awards. So, really, what's changed?
So we can breeze through these. I didn't change any of mine, but I maybe
You read mine
delved a
down
little more
last
into
time,
them.
so I couldn't tell you exactly who I said.
Okay, good. All right, well, MVP, who wants to go first?
I think you guys are both going to have the same.
Yep.
You're both going to say Giannis.
Yep.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
what you
Giannis.
said last time. I don't remember what I said last time, I think I said LeBron still, but I'm not sure. But I'm going to go with LeBron now.
It's fair. Those are the two candidates, so.
I don't think he wins because LeBron always gets gypped of the MVP anyways.
Okay.
But I think he's deserving.
Always.
Okay, here's the thing. There's no real statistical case for LeBron. I mean, LeBron's at
none.
If you go for the per 36 minutes, LeBron's at 27, 8, and 11, and Giannis is at 35, 16, and 7.
In the East.
And sure, in the East. Okay. And LeBron has played more minutes, but even in less minutes, Giannis has more win shares and a way higher PR. He's at 32 PAR, which I feel like is pretty close to a record. And I don't know. I feel like neither of them – like LeBron may not have a great supporting cast, but he does have Anthony Davis, who's by far better than anyone that Giannis has. And some people will say like Giannis is benefited by the system and the supporting talent and Mike Budenholzer, but I feel like it's more like the team is built around him, you know?
That's fair. Like I said, it's going to be Giannis that wins. I don't think that LeBron should be overlooked. And he's going to get votes. He's not going to win.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm the, I want to say the black sheep, but I don't know if that's the right term. I don't roll with the crowd.
You're the contrarian.
Contrarian, yeah.
Devil's advocate.
Sure.
I mean, I was always someone who said, like, LeBron should have more MVPs than he does. And I think there are certain years in the past, like when Derrick Rose won, maybe when KD won, when, like, LeBron was clearly better than those players. But this year, and that's not really what MVP is. It's not saying who's the greatest player. It's, like, most outstanding season based on the precedent of the award.
Right, and that's why I think – so one thing I would love to see come out of all of this coronavirus stuff is just get rid of conferences. I feel like an MVP discussion would be much more worthwhile in a season where, you know, all teams played each other essentially equally and everybody had essentially equal schedules. Because I feel like overwhelmingly a player in the East is damn near the top of the votes for the MVP every year. That's because half of the East is just complete ass. You have maybe 3 teams in the West that are ass every year. But it's just like I feel like the strength of the schedule in the West is considerably harder than a team in the East. So it's unfair.
And I mean, I think that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
But I mean, I sympathize with that point. I also am hesitant to endorse that format because of the rivalries that we have where, like, I mean, we joke about it, but if there were no conferences, would Houston and Utah play in the playoffs every year?
Who gives a fuck about that? But
I think we know the answer to that is yes, because as Sam already said, if they did it this year, it was going to happen. So,
well, I think we would miss like Rockets Warriors from a couple years ago and Celtics Cavs from a few years past.
Even historically, like the Bulls, Pistons, a whole thing,
but
and you know,
then wouldn't we get rivalries like interconference? That's not the right term.
Yeah,
we would have
not.
Then we'd have like the Bucks and the Lakers would be rivals and play more than twice a year.
Well, maybe, but they wouldn't be as likely to meet in the playoffs. Like,
and not
if you
like
have 2 really good teams in the same conference, they're almost guaranteed to meet in the playoffs most years. You know what I'm saying? That's where rivalries really get started.
But in any case, I'm taking Giannis. I feel like this is a year where he just had a more outstanding year than anybody else. And he won MVP last year, and he, if anything, is better this year. So I think it makes sense that he would get it.
And people sometimes bring off the on-off numbers to make a case for LeBron because Giannis's Bucks are +16 when he's on the floor and like +4 when he's off, and then LeBron's team is +10 with him on and minus like 1.5 with him off. But the thing is, like, they're basically the same difference, right? They're like 12-point difference on and off for both of them, and basically what it's showing you is that, without LeBron, the Lakers are mediocre to pretty bad, and then with LeBron, they're very good to great, right? But then without Giannis, the Bucks are very good, and then with him on, they're very great. It's like, are you going to penalize Giannis for his team having a higher floor than LeBron's, right? When their on-off difference is the same? To me, that's not a valid argument.
I guess. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure a vast majority of those minutes with LeBron off were with AD on the court. So what's that say about Anthony Davis is what I get out of that.
Yeah, like I said, I think that
because the Lakers were essentially staggering LeBron and Davis when they weren't playing together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really tells more about, well, two things, right? That Anthony Davis, it's hard to run an offense for Anthony Davis if he's your fulcrum. And the other thing is that the Lakers bench is much more poor than the Bucks. So when Davis is surrounded by 4 bench players, it's much worse than like when Chris Middleton is surrounded by 4 bench players, even though Middleton's not as good as Davis. But the thing for me with Davis is, like, Davis props up that defense, and he's the main rim protector for that defense. And meanwhile, you look on the other side, the Bucks are number 1 in defense by a mile, and Giannis doesn't have an Anthony Davis waiting for him at the rim, right? He's out there guarding. He can guard any position. He's their best rim protector and wing defender, and he's a top defensive player of the year candidate, and LeBron is obviously not always dialed in that end anymore, and he has Anthony Davis to back up all his mistakes. So, I don't know. To me, all those factors just lead clearly to Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, even if you say, okay, they're equally offensively, Giannis is A+ defensive player, and LeBron at this point is like a B.
Right.
So,
I mean, I'd love to vote for LeBron, but
you don't have a vote, so.
And I wouldn't vote for him.
So you really wouldn't love to that much.
Exactly. All right, defensive player of the year. Who wants to go first?
I mean, I think you kind of just made the case just now. I'm taking Giannis as defensive player of the year. I think the statistics bear that out, and his versatility, and the way that he anchors their defense, as much as anybody. Maybe Rudy Gobert is up there as well in the league, but I think it would be also exciting to have him become the 3rd player in history to win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in the same season, joining Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon, although they didn't start giving out Defensive Player of the Year until like 1982, so I'm sure Bill Russell would have won both many times. But yeah, I think that would be exciting, and more importantly, it's deserving for Giannis this year.
What do you think, Kyle?
I'm going to go with Anthony Davis.
You can never agree with us.
Never.
I just don't want to see the same person win every award, so.
Right. Anthony's a good pick, too.
I mean, statistically, defensive statistics-wise, Giannis and Anthony Davis have very similar numbers. So except for the fact that Anthony Davis averages like a block and a half more than Giannis, but I don't know. It's tough because at the same time, I think the Bucks, the other players on the Bucks are much better defensively than the supporting cast of the Lakers at the same time. So I don't really know how that plays into things,
Are they though? I mean, they have Avery, Bradley, Danny Green, LeBron, Dwight Howard. You can't really get better defensively than that, right?
I think you can.
You can, for sure.
Of course you can. You could have 5 Kawhis, but I mean,
I
you
think we
compare
still
that to
think of
Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez, and whoever else starts for them, Wesley Matthews. I think it's pretty comparable.
fuck Giannis. I'm taking Anthony Davis.
I don't think that's the wrong answer. I mean, I lean toward Giannis because he can defend the wing too, just as good as anyone. I like when my player can defend 5 positions, and I tend to lean more towards those than rim protectors like Rudy Gobert. Who I know we didn't pick Rudy Gobert, but I just can't stomach picking Rudy for Defensive Player of the Year when he gets played out of every playoff series because he can't stand the court. He literally can't stand the court.
Especially against Houston when they go no
drifts.
player over 6 foot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he starts walking towards the crowd. They're like, "Whoa, Rudy,
just drifting
come back,
over.
buddy."
He can't stay on there. Teammates are calling for him, and he's just.
All right. Who's your Rookie of the Year, Kyle?
Ja Morant.
Gotta be.
This one
Has
should
to
be
be.
unanimous.
Yeah.
I mean
the
pretty
thing
sure
is-
it won't be, but
We all know Zion's better. It's just that he only played 19 games, and
Right.
Ja played the whole season. So,
and it's not like a Malcolm Brogdon situation where
No.
he's kind of ass mediocre and wins it anyways. Like Ja has. a
Don't you
fantastic
dare
rookie
disgrace
season.
Brogdon. He's a good fucking player.
I like
good,
Malcolm
but
Brogdon, but his
Ja's way
rookie
better.
year, he was, he was
But
solid.
at the same time, he had to play next to Giannis. I feel like if we saw Brogdon on Memphis his rookie year, I think we're looking at something completely different, and he puts up much better numbers. Like, think about it. If you're a rookie coming into the league and you have Giannis on your team, you're not going to hog the ball. You're going to feed the ball to Giannis and just let him go to work.
I
Johnny
mean, you can also
This
say
wasn't
Giannis is going to make
argument
you look
I
better.
anticipated having.
I know. I didn't mean to start an argument about Brogdon. I like Brogdon. But I'm just saying, like, it's not a situation where, we all know it should be Zion, but it can't, so let's just give it to some ordinary rookie. It's like Ja Morant's having a fantastic rookie season, so he's definitely deserving.
The best part about his season, too, is, like, he's just been getting better and better, like, every month. All his statistics and all his scoring and his assists, and it's crazy to see. Like, we watched him last year in March Madness, and he was electric. And he came to the league, and everyone had high hopes, and he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great by any means. But as the season went on, month over month, I feel like people started being more like, he has the potential to actually be great. That's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, if you ask any of us before the season if the Grizzlies would have the 8th seed in the playoffs right now, not a single one of us would have said that.
No.
So I mean, he's got to get a lot of credit for that.
I have to go back and listen, but I don't think that I said. I want to say I might have said they would be the 8th seed.
No.
Maybe the 9th seed.
Well, we would have never gone over the 9th seed.
I'm not.
I remember
go back
because
and
I
listen
listened
either,
back
so.
and sent you your playoff predictions because you were saying that you said something that you didn't. But I can't.
I never remember what I say, and I don't write it down. So
obviously. All right, 6th man of the year. Seth, why don't you start us off?
easy.
Is it?
Yeah.
So for this one, I don't have strong feelings on this one. I think
me either.
it's interesting being in a year where 2 of the top contenders are on the same team, which it kind of wonders, like, technically one of them is the 6th man and one of them is the 7th man.
Right.
So how could they both win? Or, I mean, they're not going to both win, but how could they both be in contention?
They can't both win.
But I, for the sake of historical significance, I want to go with Lou Will because he would break the record, and it would be his 4th time winning 6th man of the year, which no one has ever done. So that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I would say the top 2 contenders for those who don't know who we're talking about, although Kyle's probably going to pick a third that I don't even mention, are Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, both on the Clippers. Numbers are basically the same. I mean, Lou's at 19-6-3, Harold's at 19-4-4, and they both play crunch time often in like 30 minutes a game. So, but I just kind of lean towards Lou because I feel like he gives them more of the like off the dribble creator, getting hard baskets that they really need, and Montrez is more like the pick and roll finisher energy guy, which I just don't know if it's as valuable, I mean, they're both extremely valuable, of course, but just to have that elite scorer, I think is more valuable. Kyle, tell me it's one of the not those two. You're gonna go with German chocolate cake, obviously.
You're damn right. It's the German chocolate cake.
Is that his actual nickname, or do you just call him that? I can't remember.
I just call him that. I started the nickname. The only nickname listed on Basketball Reference is the Menace because his name is Dennis.
No one calls him that, though.
The fact that no one else besides our group calls him German chocolate cake is outrageous. He's German. He has black hair, and then he dyes the part the same color as the stuff that you put on top of German chocolate cake.
Right. He's literally like, it's like he's wearing a German chocolate cake on his head.
He's a walking German chocolate cake. So I think he deserves it just for that.
That's fair.
But on top of that, he's also having basically like the best season of his career. And I don't think a lot of us, I can't remember again, but I don't think that we had very high hopes for Oklahoma to start this season.
No, definitely not.
And obviously it's not just Dennis Schroeder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has played a huge role in that. Chris Paul has looked much better than I expected he would. But they wouldn't be the team that they are if they didn't have Schroeder coming off the bench and being that main scorer for them when they need him. Like, he's averaging 19-4-4 just like Lou and Montrez, and this is on a team that we didn't expect to really be in the top half of the West or even necessarily make the playoffs. And I think to overlook him would be a mistake, especially because he's walking German chocolate cake.
And you don't usually see cakes walking.
Nope.
That's fair. Let's move on to most improved player, which I think there's a lot of candidates for this. I'm going to list some of them, and you guys might have others that I don't even have on the ballot, but here's what I wrote down. Bam Adebayo, Luka Doncic, Brandon Ingram, Devontae Graham, Jason Tatum, Pascal Siakam. Anyone else you guys want to throw in the ring? So who wants to start? Someone give me your most improved player. Your MIP, you might say.
This is so tough, like you said. There's so many different options because I think we saw like huge advances from more than a handful of players. I don't think that it's usually this robust of
I agree.
Of a field to choose from. But again, I'm going to stick with Oklahoma, and I think I have to say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the most improved player because he looks like just a completely different player. He's shown us he has the ability, he hasn't shown it a lot, but he could take over a game, and he's just an absolute menace on the defensive side. And
I thought Dennis was the menace.
And the fact that he's also able to, lead that team offensively too if they need it.
Yeah,
it's just something that I didn't expect him to do in his second season.
I mean, the man's a shooting guard and had a Barbara Walters.
How insane!
True, that is wild. I think it will probably be my prediction would be Bam, but that's not who I would pick. And I think it will be someone like Bam or like Shai, who kind of last season had a very low value or like wasn't at all a star player yet. Like Shai had value obviously as a rookie with potential, but he wasn't on the radar. But I would pick Luka Doncic. I think even though he was good last year, that's even more rare of a jump and even more valuable of a jump from like a solid, good starter to top 5 MVP candidate. That's more impactful to me or more impressive to me than going from a nobody to, like fringe all-star caliber, like Bam. So I don't think they're going to pick someone like that because most of the time they don't pick someone who is like already a really good player. But
Yeah.
that's the biggest jump in my mind.
Yeah, I think among with the number of players, it's also interesting the diversity of the types of candidates that we have here. Like you're saying, I mean, you have candidates that made a second-year leap, like Shea. You have candidates that are late bloomers, like Ingram, and just need a change of scenery. You have candidates like Luka, who went from star to superstar, and then you have candidates like Bam, who went from barely playing to
To a starting
all-star.
role and just
You have players like Pascal who went from being, a complimentary player to being the right,
yeah.
And he could win it again. I mean,
I know
how wild would that be?
That would be wild.
That's never happened before, right? No player has ever won Most Improved Player.
It probably won't happen
twice in their year, let alone back to back.
I'll look it up, but
how much can one improve? I feel like we should have gotten Most Improved podcast this year.
We've improved at all?
Well, I mean, we're
using Zoom now.
That's true.
I have Stanley sitting behind me in the
says
office.
No one's ever won it twice.
Wikipedia knows it all. I'm going to go as the candidate that I don't think is going to win, but I would like to at least – I would throw my hat in the ring for him. I'm going to go with Jason Tatum because – I don't know. I feel like his leap is one of the most hard ones because, okay, you look at last season. He's 16-6-2. He's only shooting 2.5 free throws and 4 threes a game, right? And this season you see him, he's at 24-7-3, okay? 5 free throws and 7 threes taken a game. So this guy has taken his offensive game to another level, using threes and getting to the line, which we know are the most efficient ways to score in the NBA. And, I agree with you that Doncic's leap is impressive, and that would be my second choice. But I just feel like last year I already knew he was going to be a superstar. Like last year, I didn't expect him to make this big of a leap, sure, but I was like, this guy is going to be a multiple-time All-NBA guy. He's going to be a future MVP candidate. Jason Tatum last year, we were like, is this guy ever going to be what we think he might be? Like, is this guy even a guy, is he even going to be a multiple-time All-Star? And then now this year we're like, oh, okay, he's going to be a multiple All-NBA player, might even be on All-NBA this year, future MVP candidate. So to me, it's like it was so unexpected, I guess, and to go from such a tumultuous year to being – we just know he's one of the best players now. Everyone's agreed he's made the leap. And so for me, that was more impressive.
I mean,
yeah, I'm really interested to actually see what happens because, I mean, none of us even talked about Bam, but I think there's probably a higher possibility that he wins it than Luka wins it.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's probably gonna be Bam.
I think it's probably Bam for some reason is everybody's favorite new player this year. He's not a new player to the league, but he's new to being in a full-time role, and I don't think people really realized how good he was, and really the value that he adds. There's articles that have been written about him on ESPN of being the what's the word? The
intangibles.
Not the intangibles. The
glue guy.
Nah, not the glue guy.
Not the glue guy.
I can't think of the word.
Say that. It's about Bam.
God, why can't I fucking think of this word?
Swiss Army knife?
He is the model. The model center.
Model was the word you're looking for?
I don't think it's the right word, but it's the only one that came to mind that made sense.
The prototype.
Oh.
That's not right either.
No.
He's the ideal modern NBA center, right?
That's it right there. It's more than one word, but that's it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Started at Swiss Army knife and we got there. Yeah, he's chill. Let's really just phone in Coach of the Year, huh? We don't want to spend too much time on it. I'm going to go Nick Nurse because he lost Kawhi and has a better winning percentage this year. So that's pretty good, I guess.
I like Nick Nurse as well. I think, like Kyle talked about with the Thunder, some consideration has to go to Billy Donovan.
You shut your mouth. With a widow's peak that big, you're going to give that man Coach of the Year?
Hey, I got to stick with my Widow's Peak brethren. And I'm not saying I would pick him necessarily, but I feel like Coach of the Year usually just goes to like whichever team is like performs above expectations.
Yeah.
So I'd
As
say
the
it's
Thunder.
Toronto and Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle?
Yeah, I'd probably go with Nick Nurse, just because I can't have 3 winners from the Thunder. So
Fair.
Chris Paul wins Coach of the Year for you.
soon he will.
All right. Well, we did it. That was exhausting.
Thank God.
I'm not
Starting to
made
pee
for
like
this.
a fire hydrant. All right. Well,
Thank
I
you.
guess everyone give their final thoughts, including Kyle. What you must say.
On the 3rd day, my mustache and him rose again.
What could that mean?
Peace.
All right. I don't know how to stop the recording. I think Seth, you have to.